You're watching DD India News, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Coming up in the next hour. Trump says US will massively blow up major Iranian gas field if it attacks Qatar again. Says knew nothing about Israel's attack on the South Pars gas field in Iran. Arab foreign ministers meet in Riyadh as Iran war continues. Saudi FM says kingdom reserves the right to take military action, terms Iran's action unconvincing. Stocks end sharply lower as the US Federal Reserve leaves interest rates unchanged. Chair Jerome Powell flags uncertainty related to impact of Iran war, voices inflation worries. Finland ranked the world's happiest country for a record 9th consecutive year. World Happiness Report highlights complex effect of social media on well-being among the youth. And on to the details now. US President Donald Trump has said that the attack on Iran's South Pars gas field was carried out by Israel and the US and Qatar were not involved in it. Now, Trump wrote on Truth Social that Israel, out of anger for what has taken place in the Middle East, has violently lashed out at a major facility known as South Pars gas field in Iran. He added that the United States knew nothing about this particular attack and the country of Qatar was in no way, shape or form involved with it, nor did it have any idea what it was going to happen. He further warned of action if Qatar was attacked by Iran, saying in which instance the United States of America, with or without the help or consent of Israel, will massively blow up the entirety of the South Pars gas field at an amount of strength and power that Iran has never seen or witnessed before. And Iran targeted energy facilities across the Gulf and threatened further destructive attacks after a key gas field was hit. The warning came after Israel killed the Islamic Republic's intelligence chief Ismail Khatib. Tehran, following a strike on its South Pars field, said it would respond forcefully to any further attacks on its energy sector. Iran issued an evacuation warning for several energy facilities across Saudi Arabia, the UAE and Qatar, saying they would be targeted by strikes in the coming hours. Well, Iran's threat of further retaliation came after Qatar's state energy company said a missile strike sparked a fire, causing extensive damage at its main gas facility. Ras Laffan is the world's largest, where the core of Qatar Energy's LNG processing takes place. Well, in response, Qatar declared the security and military attaché in Iran's embassy as persona non grata, asking them to leave the country within a maximum period of 24 hours. Meanwhile, Qatar said Iran missile attack has caused damage at northern industrial hub, though it had successfully intercepted 4 out of 5 ballistic missiles launched from Iran. And for more on this, we have Akshay Dongre joining us. Well, Akshay, given Donald Trump's claim that Israel acted independently in striking the South Pars gas field and it knew nothing, and simultaneously Trump wants of action if Qatar was attacked by Iran, what can you tell us more on this?
Well, it seems like a classic case of US evading responsibility. You can't say that their ally attacked independently, but if the retaliation comes, then the US will respond. It's not that the punishment should only be meted out on one party for attacking the natural gas and the resources there as far as gas and crude oil are concerned. So the situation remains, quite sensitive in the region, especially given the fact that now the worst is beginning to happen with the energy resources being targeted. First, Israel did it, and it was initiated by Israel. So the first blame, will also have to go on Israel as far as targeting energy facilities are concerned. Now that the retaliation is coming in from Iran, then there are no oil fields in Israel, so it naturally will be a tit for tat, retaliation against the U.S. allies. So the U.S. government, if they want to stop these kind of attacks, and Donald Trump has claimed that Israel will not strike any more, resources, especially gas facilities, crude oil facilities of Iran. Then it should be strictly adhered to. Otherwise, there is no stopping if it once begins. Targeting of each other's energy resources, and given the fact that the facilities are highly sensitive. They have huge amounts of natural oil and gas. So any kind of attack can be quite devastating, not only in terms of regional tensions, but the energy security for the world. We have seen that just the closing of Strait of Hormuz has led to such a drastic change as far as global economies are concerned, with many of the economies limping to get some sort of alternative of the natural oil and gas that is coming in from the West Asian region. But if there is a full-blown attack against the energy resources, then it's not only the economies that will be destroyed in that part of the world, but it will be a devastating effect, a domino effect on the global economy as well.
All right, so oil rises after Israel strikes Iran gas field, and Tehran also hits Qatar fuel hub, with Iran now threatening retaliation against regional energy infrastructure and naming countries like the Qatar, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates. How might this escalation reshape the Gulf security dynamics and global energy markets out there?
Well, it seems that the Gulf countries will also have to come to a realization that the conflict that was initiated by Israel and the U.S. are in nobody's benefit, especially not for the Gulf countries. The Gulf countries were doing well; they were doing business, they were doing business as usual as far as their economies are concerned. There were talks happening as far as the nuclear negotiations are concerned, and all of a sudden Israel will decide to attack Iran, and that has led to the situation. Once it goes out of hand, there is no bringing it back. That is something that the Gulf countries realize, and that perhaps is the reason why Saudi Arabia is calling for a meeting of Gulf nations, to come and to discuss that what is the way out of it, because further conflict is only going to bring more devastation to the global economy as a whole.
All right. Thank you so much, Akshay, for all that information. And big breaking news coming in from Indian stock market right now. Indian stock markets, benchmark indices, Sensex and Nifty have tumbled in early trade today after a sharp jump in crude oil prices and weak global trends. BSE Sensex tanked 1,953.21 points or 2.54% to 74,750.92 in opening trade. NSE Nifty dropped 580.05 points or 2.43% to 23,197.75. Meanwhile, in a sudden move, HDFC Bank declined over 5% as Atanu Chakravarti resigning as chairman of the country's second biggest lender, citing ethical concerns. And for more on this, we have Shama joining us from Mumbai. Well, Shama, stock market indexes totally tumbling now, and HDFC Bank shares to be in focus today as HDFC Bank stock is already trading near its 52-week low, adding to weak sentiment around the counter. Tell us more on all this.
Well, Lepakshi, we were all worrying about this fact that how would markets react each day, every day, amid the global uncertainty going on. And today, Indian markets have had a rough start since morning. There's both BSE Sensex and Nifty 50. They've been slipping over, and around 2.3% they've slipped down. The mood is clearly cautious, and as global markets have remained under pressure, crude oil prices have stayed elevated. And we've also seen a recent US Fed announcement as well on where the investors are reacting to the stance on inflation of US Fed. Now, volatility is also picking up with the Indian share markets jumping And it's basically a sign where the traders are feeling a bit jittery. And because of these things, there are more selling witnessed in the market. And this is why we are seeing there are so many sectors, there are so many stocks which are trading in red. If we are talking about banking stocks, these are amongst the worst losers, biggest losers today, and pulling the markets further low. The Nifty 50, when we are talking about that particular indices, there we can see that private banks have fell over 3%, and selling pressure has intensified. Auto stocks have also taken a hit. Consumer durables, PSU banks have also taken a hit over there. We are also talking about FMCG, reality. They are currently steady, and we could say that they have managed to hold the market, and they have been showing some resilience as the markets are remaining under stress. So this will currently go on, and everybody, all traders, investors, they are really positive right now and thinking about how long will this particular situation go, and how long will this current market situation be in the similar situation.
All right. Thank you so much, Shama, for all that information. And moving on, Saudi Arabia hosted a consultative meeting of foreign ministers from a number of Arab and Islamic countries in Riyadh on Wednesday. Kingdom's foreign minister, Prince Faisal bin Farhan, said Saudi Arabia reserves the right to take military action if deemed necessary following Iranian attacks on Gulf countries. Now, he accused Iran of trying to pressure its neighbors and says Riyadh will not succumb to escalation.
The targeting of Riyadh while a number of diplomats are meeting, I cannot see as coincidental. And I think that's the clearest signal of how Iran feels about diplomacy. It doesn't believe in talking to its neighbors. It tries to pressure its neighbors. The kingdom is not going to succumb to pressure. And on the contrary, this pressure will backfire. Will backfire politically, will backfire, I believe, morally, and certainly, as we have stated quite clearly, we have reserved the right to take military actions if deemed necessary.
Now, the meeting was held to discuss ways to support regional security and stability given the Iran war. Foreign ministers from Qatar, Jordan, Syria, Egypt and Turkey and Bahrain attended the meeting. Arab and Islamic foreign ministers met in light of the ongoing Iranian attacks on countries in the region with the participation of several foreign ministers from Arab, Islamic and regional countries. And the war is into its third week, and Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi yet again reaffirmed that the country's stance on the peaceful use of nuclear energy remains unchanged. Regarding the Strait of Hormuz, Araghchi said that after the war, the coastal countries should draft new agreements for ships passing through it to ensure safe and smooth routes, but only if Iranian and regional interests are met. He further underscored that while the neighboring countries were disturbed by Iran's strike on nearby U.S. military bases, the United States bears full responsibility for the escalation, as it was the U.S. that instigated the conflict and mired the region in its current turmoil.
Iran's nuclear doctrine has been a peaceful one, and we have always sought and still seek to exercise our rights to benefit from peaceful nuclear energy. In my view, we need to design new arrangements for the Strait of Hormuz and the way ships pass through it in the future, after the war, so that peaceful navigation through this waterway can be permanently maintained under clear regulations, with consideration for Iran's interests and the interests of the region.
And for more on this, we have DV Vinod joining us from Dubai. Well, Vinod, as the conflict enters its third week now, how are disruptions in key choke points like the Strait of Hormuz influencing the global trade flows, aviation routes, and what longer-term economic ripple effects could emerge, with Iran also now saying that in future also they'll have to reconsider guidelines for Strait of Hormuz use. Give us the latest from there.
The Strait of Hormuz is no longer functioning as a commercial line. Iran is threatening any vessel that passes through this particular strait, and insurance providers are withdrawing the war risk cover. The impact on trade flows is completely immediate. We have around 20 million barrel void which is happening in the Strait of Hormuz. Roughly 20% of the global oil and 20% of the world's total liquefied natural gas, primarily from the recently attacked Ras Laffan oil field, pass through this particular strait, and it is currently trapped. While the Saudi East-West corridor, that is the Ras Tanura, Yanbu pipeline and the Abu Dhabi Fujairah pipeline, are running at the maximum capacity, they can only handle about around 20 to 30% of the usual Gulf flow, even at full capacity. And the most important thing that we need to understand right now is oil prices are not defined by availability itself. It is also defined by the insurance and the premium and the reinsurance companies that is sitting in Mumbai, New York and London. The annual hull war policies have been widely cancelled, even with the new $20 DFC backed United States DFC backed reinsurance facility. And even if India has given reinsurance facility, the premium of on-off voyages through this Gulf has surged maybe like 10 times, making commercial transit financially unviable. So this is at the same time a military war, and at the same time this is a financial war. And as you mentioned, the aviation map in this entire region is completely getting rewritten. The main hubs of West Asia were Dubai, Doha and Abu Dhabi. These were the main hubs which connected long-haul flights from Asia, Far East to the West. In fact, Dubai made its mark in the global map as a main aviation hub. The premier airline Emirates,
Right.
they used to take passengers from across Asia, bring them to Dubai, and use large carriers like Boeing 777 and Airbus A380 to transit long-haul routes to South America, North America, and various destinations in Europe. This model is completely shattered right now, and in the long run, yes, there will be structural changes, because now flights are opting for narrow body point-to-point connections, and this is a fuel guzzling method, and already the fuel prices are sky high, and definitely the aviation market is going to change. Prices are going to increase, passenger comfort is going to decrease, and we are also seeing flights to nowhere. Many long-haul flights like British Airways, KLM and other European carriers have completely stopped operating to Dubai and Abu Dhabi, at least till the month end, and some operations to Abu Dhabi has been halted at least to the year end. So yes,
Right.
we are seeing a significant shift, and to avoid Iranian airspace and contested Iraqi airspace, airlines are using the North Corridor. Again, this is a fuel guzzling option. So we are currently witnessing a massive change in global aviation.
Absolutely. Also, we know that after the meeting of foreign ministers in Saudi Arabia clearly says it reserves the right to military action after Iran attacks and will not succumb to escalation. Does this signal a shift towards the direct Arab involvement in the US-Israeli war with Iran?
Saudi Arabia has indicated that Riyadh's red line is getting broken, and its patience with Tehran is reaching a breaking point. This meeting, which was done yesterday, was a consultative meeting, and we can see from the language of Prince Faisal bin Farhan that he is not very happy with what is happening, and kingdom is now reserving its right to take military action. This has to be understood in the context of the GCC level meeting which was conducted earlier. In that particular meeting also, we can see that the countries in GCC is getting unified, and they said that the core of GCC is indivisible, and we would invoke the Article 2, just like the Article 5 of the NATO Charter. There is an Article 2 of the GCC Charter which can have a collective defense and a joint shield against. So yes, we can see that the patience of Saudi is running out, but I would say that this is slightly too early to say that there will be an offensive action, because Saudi Arabia's military campaign against Houthis in Iran didn't go really well. So Saudi Arabia will be thinking twice or thrice before having an offensive posture against Iran.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Vinod, for all that information from there. And time now for a short break. We'll be back in a while.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy, always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
And U.S. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard said that Iran's government remains in place but has been significantly weakened by ongoing U.S.-Israel military operations. In a testimony before the Senate Intelligence Committee, Gabbard added that Iran's conventional military power projection has largely been destroyed, leaving it with limited options. Gabbard said the intelligence community assesses that the campaign, known as Operation Epic Fury, is driving fundamental change in the region, weakening Iran and its network of proxies following years of conflict that escalated after Hamas's October 7, 2023 attack on Israel. She also warned that Iran continues to view the United States as an adversary and remains engaged in active conflict while refusing to comply with its nuclear obligations by denying inspectors access to key facilities.
Operation Epic Fury, the ICS says Iran was trying to recover from the severe damage to its nuclear infrastructure sustained during the 12-day war and continued to refuse to comply with its nuclear obligations with the IAEA, refusing them access to key facilities. The IC assesses that China, Russia, and North Korea see the United States as a strategic competitor and potential adversary. Iran has long viewed the U.S. as an adversary and is engaged in active conflict with the U.S. as of today.
Well, Tulsi Gabbard also told lawmakers that Russia, China, North Korea, Iran and Pakistan have been researching and developing an array of novel, advanced or traditional missile delivery systems with nuclear and conventional payloads that put our homeland within range. She also said that Pakistan's long-range ballistic missile development could include missiles capable of targeting the United States.
State actors present a risk broader in scope by seeking new capabilities in kinetic and cyber warfare. The United States' secure nuclear deterrent continues to ensure safety in the homeland against strategic threats. Pakistan's long-range ballistic missile development potentially could include ICBMs with a range capable of striking the homeland.
Well, moving on, Pakistan has announced a temporary pause in hostilities with Afghanistan on Wednesday to mark the end of the Muslim holy month of Ramadan. Pakistan's information minister said the pause for Eid al-Fitr had been requested by brotherly Islamic countries, Saudi Arabia, Qatar and Turkey for 5 days from Thursday until midnight on Monday. The development comes amid heightened tensions along the Pakistan-Afghanistan border after Kabul attack that killed over 400 people. The strike was the deadliest in an escalating conflict between the two neighbors. Now, in its third week, Afghan officials have put the death toll at 408 people, with 265 wounded. Well, while welcoming the announced Eid holiday suspension of hostilities between Afghanistan and Pakistan, United Nations Deputy Spokesperson Farhan Haq said it hopes the pause will be extended and turned into a broader path towards de-escalation dialogue and a lasting peaceful resolution.
The Secretary General has called for de-escalation and the immediate cessation of hostilities, and for parties to comply with international law. So this is in line with that, and we hope that the suspension during Eid will be suspended.
Meanwhile, a mass funeral was held in Kabul on Wednesday for victims of the Pakistani strike on an Afghan rehabilitation center. And moving on, Nigeria's defense chiefs visited Maiduguri after a deadly triple suicide bombing killed 23 people, marking one of the worst attacks in the city in recent years. Officials say efforts are underway to strengthen the military response. In fact, the attack, blamed on Boko Haram, highlights a resurgence of violence in northeastern Nigeria, with both Boko Haram and Islamic State West Africa province increasing the attacks. Officials say suicide bombings have again begun, targeting urban centers, while coordinated assaults on military bases are also rising, posing new challenges for security forces already stretched across multiple fronts. And the United Nations is seeking $2.16 billion to deliver life-saving assistance to 12 million people in Yemen. UN Deputy Spokesperson Farhan Haq says more than 22 million people in Yemen are in need of humanitarian aid. Hunger levels remain critical, with more than 18 million people facing acute food insecurity. The healthcare system is also under severe strain, with nearly 40% of facilities either partially functioning or completely closed. The UN stresses that humanitarian access must remain open and unimpeded. Officials, however, warn that aid alone will not be enough to resolve the crisis and called for the restoration of essential services and economic recovery. And Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva attended the signing of a new digital statute aimed at restricting minors' access to social media as Brazil moves to strengthen online safety for the children. The new law requires stricter age verification and links accounts of users under 16 to a legal guardian, while also mandating platforms to block harmful content and remove material related to exploitation. Authorities say the move follows concerns over online abuse and aims to curb exposure to violent and inappropriate content, with penalties for companies that fail to comply. And amid the growing tensions and conflict in different parts of the world, let's turn our focus on the World Happiness Report. Finland has been ranked the world's happiest country for a record 9th consecutive year. The report, released ahead of the United Nations International Day of Happiness, shows Finland once again topping the global rankings, with other Nordic countries also performing strongly, while nations affected by war and instability remained at the bottom of the table. Nordic nations continue to dominate the rankings, with Iceland, Denmark, Sweden and Norway joining Finland and taking 5 of the top 6 spots this year. Costa Rica ranked 4th, entering the top 5 for the first time, and the highest ranking ever for a Latin American country. Although the study also highlighted a marked decline in well-being among young people in several English-speaking countries, linked in part to heavy social media use. And still to come in DT India News. India issues a fresh advisory to its citizens to exercise heightened vigilance in Iraq. India's premier platform for power and electricity sector, Bharat Electricity Summit 2026, begins today. And Chaitra Navratri 9-day Hindu festival begins today, marking the beginning of the Hindu Lunar New Year.
Open your mind to a whole new world. Explore mystic wonders of nature in the forests.
तो मुझे देख के आपको लग रहा है कि मुझे इजी वाला देना चाहिए.
Uncover secrets hidden deep inside the earth.
And I'd always heard of this ancient Shiv Mandir which is inside a cave.
Experience the rich cultural legacy.
मुझे बताइए इस डांस फॉर्म के बारे में, इस आर्ट फॉर्म के बारे में.
Experience the blend of vibrant warmth and stunning creations.
It fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Jharkhand. Let it become a part of you. Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
Welcome back. You're watching TT India News. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Time now for a quick recap of the headlines. Trump says US will massively blow up major Iranian gas field if it attacks Qatar again. Says knew nothing about Israel's attack on the South Pars gas field in Iran. Arab foreign ministers meet in Riyadh as Iran war continues. Saudi FM says kingdom reserves the right to take military action. Terms Iran's actions unconvincing. Stocks in red as the US Federal Reserve leaves interest rates unchanged. Chair Jerome Powell flags uncertainty related to impact of Iran war, voices inflation worries. And Finland ranked the world's happiest country for a record 9th consecutive year. World Happiness Report highlights complex effect of social media on well-being among the youth. And moving on, amid the escalating tensions, India issued a fresh advisory asking its citizens to exercise heightened vigilance and avoid non-essential movement. The Indian embassy in Baghdad is closely monitoring the evolving security situation in Iraq, with particular attention to the safety and welfare of the Indian nationals, included those currently stranded. Citizens should remain calm, refrain from acting on unverified information or rumors, and rely solely on official communications. Indian nationals holding long-term visas or resident status in Iraq are advised to remain at their current locations. Those on short-term visits who are stranded may consider returning to India via Saudi Arabia using land border routes. All travellers are urged to carefully assess the prevailing security situation prior to commencing their journey and to exercise all necessary precautions to ensure safety. And amid global concerns over fuel supplies triggered by tensions in West Asia and disruptions in the Strait of Hormuz, India remains on firm footing. More in this report.
Though the world is feeling the ripple effects of the war in West Asia and subsequent disruption of shipping routes through the Strait of Hormuz, India has been successful in navigating out of the troubled waters. As the fuel crisis grips nations throughout the globe, India continues to remain in a robust position thanks to its diplomatic outreach. The Indian-flagged crude oil tanker Jaglatki arrived at the port in Mundra in western Indian state of Gujarat on Wednesday after sailing through the Strait of Hormuz. This marks the third such arrival after LPG vessels Nanda Devi and Shivalik docked safely at Indian shores after a voyage through the war-torn waterways. Meanwhile, during an interministerial press briefing by the Government of India on the developing situation in West Asia, the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas reassured the nation on the availability of fuel, including adequate stocks of petrol and diesel.
हमारी क्रूड अवेलेबिलिटी सामान्य है, रिफाइनरीज उच्चतम कैपेसिटी पर ऑपरेट कर रही हैं, डोमेस्टिक एलपीजी प्रोडक्शन हैज इंक्रीज्ड बाय 40%, रिटेल आउटलेट्स पर कोई ड्राई आउट रिपोर्टेड नहीं है और पेट्रोल पंप्स पर एडिक्वेट स्टॉक्स पेट्रोल और डीजल के अवेलेबल हैं। नेचुरल गैस के संबंध में जैसा कि आप जानते हैं, पीएनजी और सीएनजी फॉर ट्रांसपोर्ट 100% विदाउट एनी कट कंज्यूमर्स को अवेलेबल कराया जा रहा है।
The efforts by the government are already showing results as ground report from across the country shows stable supplies of fuel. From Jammu and Kashmir in the north to Delhi NCR in the heartland and from Goa in the southwest to Assam in the northeast, an adequate availability of fuel is keeping people's troubles in check. Rupa Kumar Jha's report for DD India.
Well, Indian Airlines are gradually restoring services to conflict-affected parts of West Asia, with Air India Express and Indigo on Wednesday announcing the resumption of flights to Dubai, while services to several other places in the region remain suspended. Air India and Air India Express will operate a total of 48 scheduled and non-scheduled flights to and from West Asia on Thursday, including 16 scheduled and 32 non-scheduled services. Akasa Air said it would progressively restore select flights in the region after conducting safety assessments and reviewing the prevailing situation. Well, also the Indian government has directed airlines to make at least 60% of seats free from the seat selection charges and ensure families on the same booking are seated together. Clearer rules for carrying sports equipment, musical instruments and pets are also being introduced to make air travel more passenger friendly. Let's take a look at this report.
There's good news for flyers who want a window seat or sit together with family members. The pain of spending extra bucks will soon be a thing of the past. The Ministry of Civil Aviation has taken note of passenger complaints over additional money that airlines charge for seat reservations. The Directorate General of Civil Aviation under the ministry has now directed all airlines to keep at least 60% of the seats on every flight free from seat selection charges. Union Civil Aviation Minister K. Ram Mohan Naidu announced the decision on Wednesday.
We have taken feedback from the passengers, and for me personally also I've got feedback from many different airports and passengers where they've talked about how the faring system in the purchase of seats was slightly pinching them at different levels. So we have gone ahead with the decision that 60% of the seats on every aircraft that is going to fly has to be offered free of charge. Otherwise, you see that when you're booking a ticket, no matter where you want to select a seat, you have to pay an additional amount. That is not going to happen. This is an instruction that we have given to the airlines through the DGCA.
Airlines have been asked to ensure that those travelling on the same passenger name record or PNR are seated together in a flight. Moreover, airlines have to introduce clearer and more reasonable policies for carrying sports equipment, musical instruments and pets.
Many a times heard from sportsmen, musicians, that when they carry their sports equipment, they are kind of facing the problem. So we have re-stressed on that wherever possible, keeping safety intact, that these equipment, let it be musical instruments or let it be sports equipment, they have to be allowed to be carried with them in the cabin, or if necessary, they'll be checked in also. And the other important one is I wanted all the airlines to have a pet policy. And this with the new generation, the younger generation also preferring to have a lot of pets and travel with them. And I think it is important that the airlines also kind of cater for that demand. So we wanted them to have a clear pet policy on how the airlines are going to treat this.
The move is part of the government's broader effort to make air travel more affordable and passenger-friendly. Airlines have been asked to implement the changes at the earliest, with stricter monitoring to ensure compliance.
And India's premier platform for the power and electricity sector, Bharat Electricity Summit 2026 begins on Thursday in New Delhi, showcasing India's leadership, scale and innovation in renewables, storage and power infrastructure. The summit underscores the nation's growing role in delivering solutions with global impact. Now, the companies across the entire power and electricity sector will showcase their latest innovations, technologies and solutions directly to global energy leaders, policymakers and investors during the four-day event. The summit themed Electrifying Growth, Empowering Stability, Sustainability, Connecting Globally, with a focus on shaping a secure, sustainable and resilient electricity future. An exhibition will be organized alongside, showcasing cutting-edge technologies, innovations and solutions across the electricity value chain. And the 11th edition of the India-Seychelles Joint Military Exercise, L'Amitié L'Amitié is currently underway at the Seychelles Defence Academy. The exercises focus on enhancing joint capabilities in sub-conventional operations in semi-urban terrain and peacekeeping missions. It aims to effectively counter emerging threats while strengthening interoperability between the two armed forces. Officials say the exercise underscores the deepening defence cooperation between India and Seychelles, reaffirming their shared commitment to peace, stability and security in the Indian Ocean region. And as parts of the Delhi NCR witnessed rainfall on Wednesday, bringing a change in weather conditions along with a dip in the temperatures. The Indian Meteorological Department said the change in weather is part of a short wet spell expected to continue till the 21st of March. Day temperatures are expected to remain in the range of 27 to 31 degrees centigrade, offering continued relief from the sharp heat seen earlier this month when temperatures crossed 35 degrees centigrade. Well, also, a yellow alert is in place for March 19th and March 20th, with IMD warning of thunderstorms, lightning and strong winds. Similar weather patterns are being observed across North and Northeast India. IMD has forecast widespread rain, thunderstorms and gusty winds across several states. Heavy rainfall is likely in parts of Arunachal Pradesh, Assam and Meghalaya, while the western Himalayan region, including Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand and Jammu and Kashmir, may also see intense showers over the next 2 to 3 days. Hailstorm activity is also possible in isolated areas of Punjab, Haryana and Rajasthan. Well, also, fresh snowfall returned to the high reaches of Kashmir, bringing back wintry scenes to the mountains. Tourists are flocking to the hilly regions to enjoy the serene and picturesque winter landscape. Here's more in this report.
The popular ski resort of Gulmarg is once again draped in white as fresh snowfall blankets the hill station, covering the scenic peaks of Kongdori and Aparvat. Tourists are enjoying the serene and picturesque winter landscape surrounded by snow-covered mountains and a serene atmosphere. Many tourists witnessing snowfall for the first time said they never expected to see it at this time of the year.
We have come here this season and it is snowing. We did not expect to see snowfall at all. We are very happy to be here and are really enjoying watching the snow. Yeah, this is my first experience of snowfall and I never thought I would get to see snow here.
I'm very happy. We really enjoyed being here. This is our first time visiting Kashmir and it has been snowing ever since we arrived.
Meteorological officials say intermittent rain and light to moderate snowfall will continue over the hilly areas of Jammu and Kashmir for the next 2 days, with higher reaches likely to receive moderate to heavy snowfall.
18th March se leke 20 March.
There were chances of a quiet spell. Rain has been occurring intermittently along with light snowfall in the hilly areas. This activity is expected to continue intermittently until the afternoon of March 20th. Between March 19th and 20th, the higher reaches, especially in the Chenab Valley and the hilly areas of South Kashmir, may receive moderate to heavy snowfall. In the plains, light to moderate rain is likely, while some hilly areas, particularly in North and Central Kashmir, may experience light to moderate snowfall.
Moderate snowfall ki bhi possibility.
The fresh spell of snowfall is expected to further boost tourist footfall in the coming days as people seek to escape rising temperatures in the plains amid intensifying summer heat.
Well, devotees throng to temples during Chaitra Navratri to offer prayers and seek blessings. Chaitra Navratri is a 9-day Hindu festival dedicated to Goddess Durga and her 9 forms, marking the beginning of the Hindu Lunar New Year in many parts of India. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi extended his Navratri greetings. In a post on X, Prime Minister wrote, and I quote him here, "Heartfelt Navratri greetings to my family members across the country. May this divine occasion of worshipping Shakti bring happiness, good fortune, prosperity and excellent health to all of you. May the boundless grace of the Shakti Swarupa, Mother Durga, bring welfare to everyone, thereby infusing new energy into our resolve for a developed India. Jai Ambe Jagdambe Ma," unquote. Also extending his greeting to everyone on this very special occasion of Nav Samvatsar, he wrote on X, and I quote him here, "May everyone be blessed with infinite happiness, success and good health. I pray that this coming new year further strengthens the spirit of courage, self-confidence and service in everyone's lives. May it also add renewed momentum to our collective effort towards nation building," unquote. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also extended his greetings on the occasion of Gudi Padwa, Ugadi, Cheti Chand, Navre, Poshte and Sajibu Cheroaba. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Markets rattled by Iran war escalation as oil surges and stocks slide. Barcelona, Liverpool and beyond Munich reach UEFA Champions League quarter-final. Mohamed Salah becomes first African player to score 50 Champions League goals. And Lionel Messi scores 900th career goal, joins Cristiano Ronaldo.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Hello. Johar. Johar. It fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout ho gaya.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and on to some business news now. In the face of surging energy prices arising from the Iran war, U.S. Federal Reserve held interest rates steady and projected high inflation, steady unemployment and only a single reduction in borrowing costs this year as officials took stock of economic risk from the U.S. and Israeli war with Iran.
The FOMC decided to leave our policy rate unchanged. We see the current stance of monetary policy as appropriate to promote progress toward our maximum employment and 2% inflation goals. The implications of developments in the Middle East for the U.S. economy are uncertain. We will remain attentive to risks to both sides of our dual mandate.
Also, Bank of Canada struck hawkish tones, kept interest rates on hold. The Fed and BOC decisions came a day after the Reserve Bank of Australia hiked rates to a 10-month high and warned of a material risk to inflation. They will be followed in short order on Thursday by the Bank of Japan, European Central Bank and Bank of England. None are expected to hike rates, but the outlook for global monetary policy has been significantly muddled by the outbreak of the conflict. And let's now take a look at an infographic showing both the price of petrol per litre in US dollars and how much the cost of petrol has changed since February 23rd, just before the war in West Asia. Well, India has kept petrol and diesel prices unchanged despite oil surge, with government's comprehensive intervention and state-run oil marketing companies absorbing the impact. However, many developed economies, including Germany, Canada, the US and even Singapore, have recorded somewhere between 15 to 25% hike between February 23rd and March 16th. Others like Qatar, Japan, UAE, the UK, Netherlands, China, South Korea and Denmark have increased fuel prices up to 15%. Besides, the most affected countries include Philippines, Laos, Australia, Vietnam and Nigeria, witnessing somewhere between 29 to 40% hike in fuel prices. Well, you're watching DT India News. Our time now for some sports news. Liverpool delivered an outstanding performance at Anfield, defeating Galatasaray 4-0 to reach the UEFA Champions League quarter-finals. After losing the first leg 1-0 in Istanbul, Liverpool equalised on aggregate when Dominic Szoboszlai scored from a well-worked set piece. Liverpool dominated the second half. Hugo Ekitike scored from close range, and soon after Ryan Gravenberch added another goal. Mohamed Salah sealed the victory with a stunning long-range strike, also becoming the first African player to score 50 goals in the Champions League. Liverpool will now face defending champion Paris Saint-Germain in the quarter-finals. Well, Barcelona produced a dominant performance to thrash Newcastle United 7-2 and reach the UEFA Champions League quarter-finals. Rafinha and Robert Lewandowski scored 2 goals each as Barcelona took control of the match. Newcastle fought hard in the first half, with Anthony Elanga scoring twice to keep his team in the game. Barcelona led 3-2 at half-time after a penalty from Lamine Yamal. In the second half, Barcelona dominated completely. Goals from Fermin Lopez, Rafinha and 2 more from Lewandowski sealed a big win. Poor defending cost Newcastle as Barcelona added more goals and finished the tie comfortably. Barcelona will now face Atletico Madrid in the quarter-finals. Well, Harry Kane reached a half-century of Champions League goals as Bayern Munich beat Atlanta 4-1 to progress to the quarter-finals. The England captain started the game on 48, but a first-half penalty and a brilliant second-half strike moved him on to 50. Kane reached the landmark in 66 games. Manchester City's Erling Haaland holds the record for reaching 50 the quickest, having got there in 49 games. Bayern had already dominated the tie after a 6-1 win in the first leg and continued their strong form. Youngster Lennart Karl also scored, while Luis Diaz added another goal. Atlanta managed a late consolation goal, but it was not enough. Bayern Munich will now face Real Madrid in the quarter-finals. And Lionel Messi became only the second player in history to reach 900 top-level career goals after scoring in Inter Miami's match against Nashville SC. The Argentina international scored the landmark goal after just 7 minutes at Geodis Park in the CONCACAF Champions Cup last 16 second leg tie. The 38-year-old forward has found the back of the net 81 times in 92 appearances since signing in June 2023 to help Inter Miami win the League Cup and MLS Cup. Ronaldo has 965 goals and has made it clear he wants to clear the 1,000 goal threshold before retiring. It took Messi 1,142 games to get to 900, while Ronaldo needed 1,236 matches to reach the mark. And the government of Senegal has called for an international investigation into possible corruption in Confederation of African Football. Well, this comes after Confederation of African Football stripped Senegal of their 2025 Africa Cup of Nations title. CAF ruled that Senegal forfeited the final after their players briefly walked off the pitch in protest during stoppage time. As a result, their 1-0 win was changed to 3-0 defeat, giving the title to host Morocco. Senegal's government strongly criticized the decision, calling it illegal and unfair, and they're now demanding an independent international investigation into CAF's leadership. The Senegalese Football Federation earlier said it would appeal the decision to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, calling the ruling unprecedented and unacceptable, and vowing to file its challenge in Luasain as soon as possible. And Sunrisers Hyderabad have named Ishan Kishan as interim captain, with regular skipper Pat Cummins sidelined due to injury. Opening batter Abhishek Sharma will serve as vice-captain during Cummins' absence. Cummins is out with a stress injury to his lower back, which also ruled him out of the Ashes and T20 World Cup. This move makes all the 10 IPL teams led by Indian captains a rare occurrence last seen in 2019. Kitchen joined Sunrisers Hyderabad in the IPL 2025 mega auction for INR 11.25 crore. He's previously played for Mumbai Indians and Gujarat Lions. All right, that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. Well, we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.